Hey guys, it's Ivan from Indoor Ivan. We are now in our second part of our outdoor garden tour. So I'll be giving you a tour of the backyard. So if you take a look at our plants here, a lot of these plants that were planted weren't here originally. So over here we have our variegated sedum. This backyard is south facing, so this did very well last year. Originally I had a lavender over here, but it didn't do so well just because our soil is clay and not so well draining. Over here we just have some daffodils that are kind of finishing blooming right now. These should naturalize in the area. An Ito peony that I planted, it's coming back nicely. If you take a look further down, these are all purple coneflowers. These were here originally with the previous owners. I just planted some spring bulbs just to kind of fill in the area while those come up. Another purple coneflower. This was here originally with the previous owners. This is another Ito peony. I planted this just to fill in that gap. A lot of these grasses here, these were here originally with the previous owners. So we kind of just planted things around it. So this is a Japanese maple. I think this is an orangeola. I planted this in this little space just to fill in that gap. Some of the shrubs have died back a little bit, so it's been kind of spotty with planting different plants. Another purple coneflower that I planted just to fill in the gap. They're great to attract bees and butterflies. Here is a butterfly bush. I kind of cut that back, but it does well. And then also bee balm, which has been growing quite a bit. Last year when I planted it, it was half the size. And as you can see, it's pretty much doubled in size now. So that should spread and fill that area in nicely. So over here you can see lots of Shatsu daisies. These were here before and they've kind of spread all over. There were a few gaps here, so I kind of planted some geraniums that were on sale late last summer. They were like $5 each, so I kind of just planted some geraniums to fill in the gaps there. As we move further down, this part of the garden is kind of a work in progress. So there is another hydrangea. This flowers pink. It flowers on old wood, so I can't cut this back very much or else I'll lose the flowers. Over here, it's work in progress, so there's a lot of native flowers that I planted. So there's white trillium, some wild ginger, that's in this area. So my goal is to kind of have this area be more woodland-like. I had to throw this netting down just for now because the squirrels do like to dig up a lot of newly planted plants and bulbs. So until the soil settles down, this netting is just going to be draped across them. Looks a little bit messy, but it's the only way to save the plants. Further down you can see some shrubs that were here before. These are some yews that were here from the previous owners, so I kind of just left those there. I did plant some miniature hostas just to fill in some of the gaps so that way there isn't as much bare exposed soil. Some jack-in-the-pulpits that I'll be planting eventually. Netting is required or else the squirrels will dig those up and explore. As we continue on, this is an amazing flowering tree and it works lovely with our spring-themed garden. A lot of our plants do flower in the spring and early summer. I can't remember the name of this, but it's great. Further down, you can see some hostas that are growing under the shrub. These hostas were here with the previous owner, so they're coming up nicely. We tried to plant some crocuses this year. They were planted last fall. Unfortunately, with all the animals, you can see that they were kind of eaten quite a bit. I don't think I'll be planting more crocuses this coming fall just because they tend to be salad for the rabbits. Moving down, there's some grass that was here with the previous owner. Some of the clumps are doing better than others. I've kind of just left these here because buying plants is expensive, so I can only add so many plants. So these are staying here until I can kind of get a more coordinated and organized theme going on. But these do add some nice blue color in the garden. Further over here, this is kind of a mishmash. I do need to do some weeding, but I planted some allium bulbs that are slowly coming up. There were some random squill that I planted that are finished flowering, and then back here are some irises that the previous owners have planted. Because our English walnut tree has gotten so big, these aren't getting as much sun as they should be, so they don't flower as well as the ones that are out front. Over here we have gigantic barberry bushes. Last summer I didn't get a chance to prune these back because they got so big and they were so thorny, but I did cut a lot of these back just so that way this garden bed is exposed. None of the plants here were here with the previous owner, so these were all planted. I think I'll be planting more daffodil bulbs just to fill in the gaps. As you can see, the hostas that are here are coming up, but in order to fill in this garden bed for the spring, I'll be probably adding more daffodils and some bloodroot. This was a random spot in the garden. When we moved in, this was empty and it was just a bare soil patch. So I decided to stick in some plants. So there is a hosta that's coming up over here, a daylily that was on sale on clearance at the garden center, so that's there, and then also a Japanese maple. So this is, I believe it's Hub's Red Willow. It should get about 8 feet tall and I think about 5 feet wide. So this will kind of cover this area nicely. Further down you can see that there are some burning bush. So when we moved in, that was all that was here. Everything that's coming up that you see was not here. So I did plant lots of daffodils. You can see some hostas coming up. But again, similar to the other bed with the burning bush, I'll be planting some more spring flowering bulbs just to make it look a little bit more full. I will need to do some weeding. Back over here, I don't know what was growing here before, but this area was like a weird empty void. We planted some Japanese maple. This one doesn't look very good. We have a lot of animals that eat at our plants. So recently we had a rabbit, or at least I think it's a rabbit, eating our Japanese maple alive. So this is what's left of it. So I'm trying to figure out something that can grow here just to offer some privacy, so that way our neighbors don't look straight in. So continuing on, we did plant some daffodils and some tulips here. Luckily these survived the fall. The squirrels didn't dig them up. I made sure to use blood meal, bone meal, hen manure, and I also put some netting down so they managed to survive nicely. Again, as you can see, all of our crocuses, the ends were eaten. This is kind of what's left. Our crocuses were eaten, not only the leaves but the flowers. So this is kind of what's left of them. Here's some sedum that I got from a plant share group. It's spreading nicely just to fill in the gap. Over in this area and then in this bed, we have some lilac bushes. Some of them are doing better than others. As you can see, these ones are flowering, but for some reason the ones further back, and as you move over here, these ones haven't put any flower on them, which is kind of odd. I'm not sure why. I left all of the branches as is because they do flower on old wood, but these are only pushing out leaves, unfortunately. Everything down here is stuff that I planted because when we moved in, this was all bare. So we have some alliums that will be flowering soon, some daylilies that are down here, and then some hostas, which haven't come up yet, but they will soon. Over in this bed, this is our last little area. As you can see, this is what's left of our ash tree. So we had 2 ash trees that were cut down. That was one of them, and our other one is over here if you take a look. So this was our other ash tree. Those 2 trees covered a lot of the backyard, so after they were cut late summer, that offered a lot more sunlight into our garden. Anyways, back to the bed. We have some geraniums that are here. Again, I got those on sale, so they're spreading nicely. Some sedum that will flower in the fall. There is some ground cover sedum in there. I planted a magnolia because last spring I thought it would be great just to have a magnolia tree covering this area, but I'm kind of having second thoughts about it because as it grows bigger, I'm going to lose a lot of sun in this area, so we'll see how it does. Chances are is I might move this somewhere else. There's some heuchera back here, which is doing well. For some reason, the dark colored leaves, or the dark colored heuchera, aren't as appetizing for the rabbits for some reason. Here is a hydrangea. Sadly, it died back a lot. It flowers on old wood, so I don't think I'll be getting any flowers from these. But it survived the winter, just not well. Again, you can see some repetition. So some variegated sedum here. Again, lavender didn't grow so well in our area, and some daffodils, which are finishing up blooming. Because we got more sun, we managed to put in some peonies. So we have 2 peonies that are over here. This one, for some reason, is growing a lot faster. So those will be flowering soon. And as I climb up, so if you take a look down here, again, some more ground cover sedum that I got from a plant share group. Everything here was stuff that I planted, because originally under the tree there wasn't a whole lot. There was some hostas growing in the area, but those were kind of transplanted out into the different beds. So there are some pink flowering alliums here, some squill, and some daylilies. There are some hostas that are coming up that I left in the ground there. My eventual goal is to fill this area after I weed it with some milkweed, and then hopefully that will kind of fill in the area and add some more color and places for butterflies and bees to visit. Alright, so that ends our backyard garden tour. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe and like the video. Until next time.